so excited to share that through Executive Endurance Coaching, I've officially joined Never Second's Coach and Nutritionist program. Never Second is a science-driven performance nutrition brand built specifically for endurance athletes. I've personally been using their fueling system for years in my own training, and I love how simple, precise their approach to carbohydrate fueling is for runners, cyclists, triathletes, you name it. And today, if you want to try Never Second for yourself, our listeners can get 15% off by using the code GRIT15 at checkout. GRIT 15 at checkout. Just head to never2.com and start fueling your training with intention. This episode is brought to you by Koya Performance for Life. Koya combines wearable technology with behavioral science to help you unlock more energy and perform at the highest level. Their coaches have worked with Olympians, Super Bowl MVPs, World Series champions, and other elite performers. Their 12-week program focuses on sleep, exercise, nutrition, mindset, and recovery, blending biometric data from wearables like Aura, Whoop, or Garmin with one-on-one coaching from a team that includes a dietitian, sleep coach, movement specialist, and mental performance coach. I'll personally be participating in their March cohort and will be sharing updates with you along the way so you can hear exactly what the experience is like. Grit Files listeners today receive 33% off the program using the code AGRANDOFF. Visit koya.life to learn more. Hello. Welcome to the Grit Files. I'm your host, Laura Reynolds, and today we have the co-founder and CEO of my favorite coaching academy, IGC, Liv Chapman. Welcome to the Grit Files.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk. I feel like you and I can have really vulnerable conversations and just say it. So this should be good.
Yes, we cannot be held responsible for whatever content happens to just float out of our mouths because we could go on for
Yes. Do not
hours.
take any quotes out of context because I'm sure there will be some.
So, as you'll all soon find out, Liv is the mastermind behind IGC. One of the most strategic thinkers I have ever been lucky enough to come in contact with. We're actually potentially creating something really cool together. So we're excited to bring that into the world. But Liv, just to give people some context, you created one of the fastest growing coaching schools for women. Um, but before that, you were in the teaching space.
Yeah,
So,
the teaching space.
the
Yes.
teaching space.
I was a fifth grade teacher. That
Yeah.
is true. But
Ooh.
yes.
What a grade to teach because I feel like not easy. So do you remember a moment where you were like, ooh, this isn't for me? Like, what was that moment for you in teaching?
Basically the whole time. And hear me out because it wasn't, I actually love teaching. I still to this day, that's my favorite part of what I do is when I'm actually able to like go into our virtual classrooms and teach or train or honestly coach at this point, but it's very similar, which you'll learn. Um, that was never my issue. I think the main thing that ate me alive on a daily basis was the confines of public schooling, the inability to really move obstacles out of the way for our students that were holding them back. And it did not have to do with whether they did their homework or not. It did not have to do with whether they scored well on a standardized test. It meant to do with other aspects of their life that we just simply weren't allowed to really address in public school. And I was working in a really underfunded, underprivileged area of Washington, D.C. And I spent 6 years teaching. And I'm like, how do you do something like every day that also feels like it's eating at your soul? Because like I was partially there, and I tell people this often, like if they're like, like they don't hate their job, but they like know something's off, or they're not really sure. Like what I really did first was try to figure out which aspects of my life I liked. So that's why I'm like, I loved the teaching part. I hated the bureaucracy and the rules that like in my rebellious also mind just didn't really make sense because they weren't actually helping anyone. So
Right.
maybe they were helping control the masses, but were they actually supporting people? No. And that I got to the point where I was severely depressed and anxious because I was like, I knew what these kids were like going home into, and I knew what was really blocking any one of them from being successful. And there was nothing I could do about it. And my principal said to me, you do not, basically, she said, you don't have enough money to care about these problems. So, like, just get your kids to pass the test. And I was like, I have to quit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Just total lack of
that's
alignment in all facets.
yeah, I mean, but she was right.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have enough money to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, I
And
was
that
like
is the sad
protesting on the
truth.
White House lawn and like no one cared.
Yeah.
which I could almost see you doing. I'm shocked that that was, wasn't
I
something
know.
you did. Um, so you decide, okay, teaching I need to get out of. What was it that
Mhm.
led you into coaching? Because at least for me, there was always, I didn't realize it at the time, but when I did some self-reflecting, I gave myself like a week between leaving corporate and kind of deciding that coaching was my next step. And I was reflecting back and I was like, what is it that I'm doing that I love? Kind of like you talked about.
Yeah.
And it was that. It was coaching. It wasn't just the because my background was in recruiting and talent acquisition. But it wasn't the placing of bodies in seats that I loved. It was, all right, after the body's in the seat and they need help becoming a stronger manager or they need help growing their team. It was the coaching element that I loved.
Yeah.
And as I started digging into this thing that I loved, I was like, oh, wait, you can be a coach. Like I can still find some synergies here in the background that I have, and it allows you
Yeah.
to still kind of do this professionally. So that's when I started digging around and kind of found coaching, but I really didn't even like think of it as a career. So what brought you into coaching when you were in that transformational phase?
Well, I wish I was as enlightened as it sounds like you were, like really recognizing that coaching was a thing. And I have to run it back too by saying like this all started in like 2012,
Mhm.
2013. And this was really before coaching was like all over
Thing.
social media and everyone was selling an online course. Like we were still posting like very awkward photos with weird built-in filters on Instagram, right? Like I didn't have like content. I didn't like no, the closest we got to coaching or knowledge of coaching at that point was reading a self-help book, which were not
Right.
called personal development. It was a self-help book, right?
Yeah.
And I guess from an early age, I was lost in like the self-help section because somebody had to help me when I was a kid. Okay. I did not grow up in like a helping home. Okay. But I I had student loans. I had actually gone to school to be a teacher, which not everyone does. Sometimes people just end up there. No judgment or hate either way. You're a saint in my mind. But I decided, like, okay, if I wasn't going to be able to do anything my way, which I believed was the right way, I was like, let me become a principal. So I actually went and like got my master's to be a principal. And then I was getting worse though. Like I was just so unhealthy with anxiety and like gaining. I'm like, this cannot be right. Like, I feel like you're, at least for me, like my body always shows me when I'm doing the wrong
Yeah.
thing. Like, you have just gained 20 pounds and you look disgusting. I'm talking about myself. Okay. So I can
Yeah.
say that. And no amount of people can be like, but you looked great. Like, I will never listen to you. I know
No,
the
it's how
facts
you
here.
feel about you at that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I always tell my friends when they're like, I'm having an ugly day, I'm like, nothing I can do is going to change your mind. This too shall pass. But like, here's what I would do. But it was like physically you could see it and people in my life could see it. I was miserable. I actually like lost friends during that time because I don't think people really wanted to be around me.
Yeah.
So I was dating this baseball coach in DC and I was at a baseball game complaining about my life and how I'm like, I don't know how I'm supposed to do this anymore, but I had all these student loans. I went to school to be a teacher. I can't give this up. I come from a very like normal middle class family from upstate New York. Like my mom didn't really work. Then she was like kind of a secretary here and there. My dad like didn't go to college. He like was in the or HVAC business. Like we
Yeah.
were kind of like normal. So like if you went to college and got a real job, it was extremely impressive and like how dare you be anything but grateful for that job, right? So I was like in my mind this was it for me, so I had to make education work until I'm complaining to this girl and she's like, "Have you ever thought about hiring a life coach?" And I'm like immediately
I'm sorry,
insulted.
what?
I'm like, "Is it like therapy? Because that's already not
Yes.
working well for me and the only reason I'm going is because insurance covers it." So long story longer, she introduces me to Katie DePaola, who, as broke and miserable as I was, she was the only person ever in my entire life to ask me, like, what do you want? And the first thing I said was like, well, I have to be a teacher because I already have all these student loans and I already went to school for this, so my options are pretty limited. And she's like, literally none of that matters. Like, and then I was saying like what my boyfriend wanted me to do. He wanted me to start this like literacy company and like, kind of get into like educational sale. Like I could tell her what every single person in the world wanted me to do except me because I had no idea.
Right. It's like that
This
scene
is
in the Notebook where Noah's like, but what do you want? Forget about what everybody
yes.
else wants. What do you want?
I know. And like, I wish I could say I never was in this position again, but this pattern has repeated
Mhm.
itself over the years. It must be my life lesson. Anyway, so yes, and I was just like so crippled by it. I think I avoided her for months because I was so thrown off at the opening my eyes that like just because you went to school for one thing or your family expected one thing, you could do something else. This is foreign territory to me, and it may sound so simple, but to those people who have not like heard that before, or at least to me, it just like blew my mind.
Yeah.
So, and I still think to this day, a lot of people are just like, that's great. Like, you just go to work and you go home and you get your 401k and you get your health insurance and you just be normal. And have the last 5 years taught us anything, friends? Like, normal? What? We're all living in a weird simulation. So, do whatever you want. And then I fought with this. I fought with this for myself for like a year, probably. Like, and then eventually I started this because I couldn't go into my own business too much. I was too scared. Like, I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't come from a business family. I don't come from money. I don't have those things that other people
Like
have.
laughable
I come
now.
from I come from a lot of dysfunction. Like, no one would ever take me seriously. So what I did do was start this after school programming for teen girls, and like develop this whole personal development, self-help content. And I started doing this like on the side. Then I started getting paid for it. And then I finally went back to Katie, who I hired as like a coach at the time. And she was like, I think you should really turn this, like you should go through coach training. IGC didn't exist then.
Yeah.
So I found some other random school to go to. I got certified as a coach, and the rest is history kind of. But no, then I worked as mostly in career coaching for the first couple years. Then Katie wanted to start IGC, which was like a women's circle that she had started in DC, but then everyone wanted to learn personal development. And over the few years, like 2015, IGC was founded, and then we were ICF accredited in like 2017. I wrote all the curriculum. I'm still very much, we just rewrote the curriculum again last year. Fun, fun. So now I get to teach what I think is really the most important. And mostly we have female or women students, and a lot of them are moms. And I feel like the matriarchy is alive and well in IGC.
I, it's one of the most phenomenal programs, and as you know, I've coached at others. But it really is. The curriculum is amazing, and such an
Thank you.
attribute to you writing it. So like you do, you can't just go on and become a coach when you are approached with this idea of being a life coach. You have to go and create an academy. So,
Well,
um,
yeah, it just
so
made sense.
yeah. So what was, I mean, and we're all seeing it now, I feel like, unless it's just selective perception because we're in the space ourselves. But I feel like this is starting to become a pretty saturated business. But
Yeah.
what problem did you see in the coaching space that made you feel like this needs to exist and this needs to be different about this program? And I want the people that are part of this program to differentiate themselves in this way.
That's a great question. I feel like you could probably answer it because like you could have gone to any coaching school and you chose IGC. So I would be curious about how you would answer that
Yeah.
question too. But for us, it was in the era of 2015, a lot of people were coming out as coaches, right? And the real thing was just like, I went through this thing, so now I can coach you.
Yeah.
And what was happening was, and it's like anything, you can be a great artist. It doesn't mean that you can necessarily teach someone how to paint. You
Mhm.
can be good at anything. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can teach someone how to do it the exact same way. And there's too many, factors involved with like coaching someone's life. And, there's biases. There's so many factors. And I think the real thing was that we just heard so many horror stories, and then people just only marketing how much money they were making. And it's like so weird. Like, have you ever seen like Coca-Cola be like, we had $1 billion year
Right.
because you're drinking all this poison? But the coaching, and it was so gross. And I was like, and Katie had gone to Vanderbilt, and I had gone to, well, I went to a college of St. Rose, it's called in upstate New York, but like we were educated, like we didn't want to be in this like nasty, like in my opinion, like very low vibration world of coaching, because what we had both experienced going through different coach training programs was that coaching done right is so transformational, but it was almost like the world of social media, like turning coaching trashy.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt. Like, I'm like, ew, I want to be associated with something more professional. Like,
Mhm.
you will never catch me like marketing a private jet in a Chanel bag. If you love that stuff, I think that's fine.
We
It's
know
just
who this
like
is.
my wealth is a gross marketing strategy if I'm trying to coach other people. Like, does that make sense?
Yes. And I know who you're
Okay.
referring to.
There's a lot. And
Yes.
like, whatever. I'm all for women just having a lot of
Yes.
money. But it just,
Good
I think
kid.
that was really, I feel like we were just too like smart for that. And the
Yes.
women we attract tend to be too.
Yeah. And I think so much of that social media was tarnishing exactly what you said. Like the big transformations that are capable of happening within this space. And that is exactly what had me choose IGC because for full transparency, that's what I was seeing. I was on social
Oh,
media
I
and
know.
seeing the people that were promoting, this is the check that I made and this is what I bought and this is that. And if it wasn't that, it was like very like woo woo, like flowery and like very whimsical. And I was like, I'm getting out of like the corporate world. That felt like a hard shift for
Oh
me
my
to
God, I
go from
know.
like, buttoned up corporate or slacks or like a skirt every day, and now this is what it's going to be. So when I saw IGC, that was the vibe that I came away with, was like it was a much more professional coaching experience than what I was getting from what I was exposed to on social media. um
Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad that that was your read on it, because I feel like our IGC is very like community based and
Yep.
very supportive. And I always see our students and graduates like collaborating on things and hosting events and traveling the world together and being in each other's weddings. And it's like
Yeah.
very close knit community of professional, I think at this point mostly centered around coaching and professional development, but everyone's really smart.
Yes.
And I love some of this. Like, yes, I wish I could like manifest a little bit more. And like, I wish I was the type to do a little bit more journaling and all that. Sure. Like, there's elements of that. But I think any of that stuff without actual strategy is so dangerous.
Mhm.
And, I hear this from people. Well, I took another course. And I'm like, well, what did you take? And I'm like, you took a marketing course where they told you because you had survived a breakup, you could now become a relationship coach.
Right.
That is not true.
Right.
Like everyone is lying to you if they say that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, your personal experience and the obstacles you've overcame are absolutely great for your marketing. They're great for connecting with potential clients. They're great for connecting with clients. Those experiences do not make someone a coach, though. Just they don't.
Could not agree more. um So when you're building this thing, and I feel like I had this moment early on, and I'm curious to see if you had a similar experience. But in the early days of building IGC, you're coming up with the curriculum, you're trying to get ICF
Oh
accredited.
my God, we were so cute too. Oh,
Oh my
yes.
God. And I did some snooping to be like, what was the aesthetic back then? Oh, how we changed, you know? We all
Yeah.
changed, but and evolved. But were there ever any moments where you sat back and you were like, I don't know if this is gonna work?
This morning.
It's so true though.
Literally every day. No,
It's
not every
so
day, but
true.
like, yeah, I had a client session just before this, and she's like, I don't get it. Like, I reached this point and like everything's working. In the last couple weeks, it's like nothing's working. And I'm like, that's business. Like,
Mhm.
there are a lot of things that you can automate and they work for a while, but
Yeah.
like, here's another one that we hated in the coaching industry where it's just like, I am making money overnight and I'm working for the 4-hour work week. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're literally not.
Right.
Everyone's lying. And I work a ton, a ton. The benefit is that I can work whenever I want to. And like the only person I can disappoint is myself, pretty much. But I there's always times where I'm like, this isn't working. Like we are interview. This is happening, what, the first week of April, right? April 8th. I'm looking at all of Q1, all of this, all of that. And I'm just like, a lot of things didn't work. A lot of
Yeah.
things did. So when you get caught in that moment of looking at everything that's not working, like, yeah, I'm always like, what are we doing? Sell
Yeah.
this thing to Tony Robbins and let's get out of here. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah. But I also feel like, at least for me, those moments are some of the most transformational moments for me. And I kind of want to put this out there to anyone who might be in that moment of like, God, fuck it all. Like, this isn't going to work. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. But I even liken it to like what the experience is in when I race. You know, if I'm running, I have trained for
oh,
months. I have practiced fueling for months. And then I've gotten to races where I've done everything right, but it blows up in my face. And those
mm,
have been some of the most transformational races for me because it forces me to go deeper than what I had leading up to that, where I had gotten to a point where maybe I was a little full of myself, where I'm like, I'm feeling really good. I've got this thing locked and loaded. I don't need to think about this
yep,
anymore. And you get out there and it rains, or it's windy, or it's cold. And you're like, shit, this wasn't a variable that I planned for. And now I know this is something that I need to plan for the next time. So it
yeah,
almost forces this deeper level of transformation and development and self-discovery. So I am with you. Like I wake up
yeah,
every day and I'm like, whew, I might lose all the clients today. I might lose it all today. It might blow up in my
yeah.
face. Um, but on the days where it hasn't gone exactly to plan, I have learned something really deep about myself. And I feel like you're probably that same way. I mean, can you say that same thing about your experience when you have been in those moments of this isn't going to work?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I agree with everything that you're saying. And I think that the like athletic type of analogy is really good because it all comes down to endurance, right? Like your brand, obviously. And it
Yeah.
come like, are you willing to keep going? And it's funny, like the title of this podcast, The Grit Files. I read the book Grit by Angela Duckworth when I
Yeah.
was teaching. We like did a book club on it. And it's been one of my favorite concepts to study and also teach my kids because it really doesn't matter how many times you fail. The only way to really fail is to quit. And
Yeah.
that is what I believe in business too. Now, I have a lot more good days than bad days. So, but you also get used to it. Like, I am not going through a complete mental breakdown when I look at like where we probably overspent on marketing in Q1, right? Like, that would be like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to make payroll. I'm not like, everyone's going to be homeless because of me. No, like maybe we had those feelings here and there, like in the beginning of business, because we didn't really know. But like, the more you do something, the more you kind of know what to expect. And you're like prepared for the ups and downs of business, which are inevitable. They're literally inevitable. Like, even look at like, unfortunately, like the war going on right now, that affects things in us. It affects ad spend. It affects people's like optimism for like creating a whole new life, right? Things
Right.
will always be happening. It's just, are you willing to stay in the game?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I answered your question, but
No, I still like it. I still like the response.
I lost the question somewhere in there.
Um, Want to talk a little bit about the personal side of things, if you're good with it. But something that people may or may not know about Liv is that she's a single mom. So not only is she building this thing from the ground up, and being a really strategic thought leader, but she's doing this while raising two boys. Um,
Yeah.
Not an easy feat. So, what has this experience taught you about capacity?
Oh, that's also a very good question. It has taught me that you are, you don't just have an endless supply to give, and you have to, overdone, but like set some boundaries. Historically, horrible at it. To this day, my friend is like, "Did you ever read that book I sent you on setting boundaries?" I was like, "No."
Yeah.
I have boundaries around reading that book. Okay. That's where my boundaries lie.
We
Horrible.
coach people
Like,
around setting boundaries, but we are notoriously not great at setting boundaries ourselves in the coaching
oh
world. I'll be
no.
the first
Well,
to say
because
it.
I also, this is probably some, like, I get a little bit addicted to like results too.
Mhm.
So, like, I
Yeah.
do know that there's like, it's really hard for me to like shut certain things down when I know that my involvement in them have a direct impact on like getting what I want, which like could be more students, higher revenue, better
Right.
ads. Like just kind of depends. I'm the same way with like working out. I'm no nothing like you, but I'm like I always want to push myself, so it's
Right.
hard to always turn that off. But in terms of capacity, like I simply don't have like an endless supply of it. And
Yeah.
I think being alone, like I've pretty much been a single mom the whole time that I've had kids. In the last year, I've become a full-time single mom, which is way different.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sorry to everyone that I said that 50-50 custody was the same. It's not. Okay. So I'm highly considering dating again just to have some help. No, I'm just kidding. But
Men, did
like
we
you
all hear it?
yeah, but I think it doesn't matter if you're working for yourself or for someone else. Like
Right.
we all have the same amount of hours in the day. I know that people hate to hear that, but it's true. Like still have the same amount as you do, and like if you whether you have a husband or a partner or not, it doesn't matter. Like I would still be me whether I like. Let's be honest. Maybe someone would just like drive the kids to football practice once a week and give me like an extra 30 minutes. It's not necessarily a deal breaker. But I am in a season right now where I'm probably a little bit too much addicted to growth. These seasons come in waves, but I don't think I don't think any working parent, mostly working moms, I actually do think working moms have significantly more on their plate, and you can go research that or try to fight me in the comments somewhere, but I don't want to hear about it from men. You don't do as much as the moms do. So I just think it doesn't like we're all going through this. We're
Yeah.
all trying to figure out where to find some room in our lives. And like maybe right now is like not the time for me to have a lot of extra time to like go to a spa. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that is not the season I'm in.
Yeah. And I think social media kind of does us dirty in that way, where we're seeing everybody do all of the things and they're smiling and they're really put together. And I'm like, why are we doing this to each other? Why are we creating this facade of like, it was really easy to get all of your kids out the door today without one of them having a meltdown about what they had to eat or what they had to wear. And you also have to get yourself ready. And you'd like to do some element of self-care, but there's like 2 minutes in between meetings or in between whatever it is that you need to do for your kids. Like, why are we
Yeah.
doing this to each other and creating this pressure of looking like we can do it all? It's okay that we can't. We're not
Yeah.
built to do it all.
I think that we were taught that we could and we should, and we as like a generation of women have not let that go yet. And in terms of the social media stuff, I have no beef with any women except this one very small subgroup. And this subgroup are the women who are like massive influencers. I'm talking hundreds of thousands or millions of followers whose sole content is around how they don't work. Because there's just that's not true. And I think they're selling a very false dream to women everywhere, saying that like what's that one woman? Oh, I don't even want to call anyone out specifically, but they post a lot of content about being a well-kept woman, a taking care of wife, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they're managing this social media account with millions of followers and multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars of brand deals while telling other women that they just, you know, are whimsical all day. I don't buy it. And I think it's really wrong.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a complete false narrative that's not possible. Um, and it's kind
What
of
is
like,
that called though, Laura? It's called something. Trad wife
yes,
content.
yes, yes.
Harmful. And I'm not even like crazy, like liberal feminist or anything. I'm just like, don't lie to people on
Yeah.
the internet.
Well, and it's just not attainable. It's almost like AI in a sense, where you're like, this is not sustainable. It's not attainable. This is not something that real life is. So why are we doing this to each other? I feel like we need more
I don't
content
know.
where maybe we didn't have time to do our hair today or our makeup today, or we're still wearing the sweats that we wore yesterday, whatever it is. But like, let's take the pressure off a little bit of each other.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, make it mean a little bit less about who you are as a person. Like, it's
yeah.
stressful.
And I think you and I had this conversation the other day. We touched on it a little bit, and I think it's worth putting out into the world because I think we all need to come back together. We're in this time in the world right now where everybody needs to like come together a little bit more. Let's stop
I
separating
agree.
from
I agree.
each other. Um, but the whole idea of like working moms versus non-working moms, you and I talked
Oh,
about how we kind of get the side eye every once in a while because we're quote unquote working moms. And even though it might not be said, there's still this like unspoken divide between the stay-at-home moms and the moms who are physically going into an office or working remotely for an office. And it's like, why is that? Because both are jobs. I would argue that in a lot of respects, the stay-at-home moms do have a harder time. I couldn't do it. I surely couldn't do it.
no.
Um, but
I want to do it, kind
me
of.
too. I would love to want to do it.
Okay.
I would love
Yeah.
to, and I'm gonna Emmy's gonna listen to this in years to come, and she's gonna be like, "Why did you say that?" But I wish that I could be the type of mom that really enjoyed a PTA meeting and like could make it to all of the volunteer things, right? Because I feel like I am always the mom. There's always like a handful of moms that are at every single thing, and they'll see me and be like, "Why weren't you at the cookie sale?" And I'm like, "Well, I I can't be at every cookie sale." And it doesn't mean that I care less about my child. I care in a different way because I'm
Yeah.
making a living outside of that. But why is it that we feel like there needs to be this divide still when it's already hard enough, regardless of what side you're on? It's already hard enough to be a female and to do something that you feel like matters. So, like, why aren't we
Hmm.
coming together and supporting each other more, regardless of working versus not working? Like, what is that?
Yeah. I just don't be friends with people. I'm just kidding. So in coaching, we talk about, and you know this lesson probably well, but we talk about contexts and stories, which are like lenses through which you see yourself or the world. And we tend to wear those like a robe or a dress or whatever that's like we really attach ourselves to different
Yeah,
contexts, right? So I have a very close person in my life, and in IGC, but there's always like a shadow side and a light side when you're exploring archetypes or
yeah.
contexts. So like one of them, it's like matriarch or martyr. And
Okay.
I have a very close friend who just truly cannot stop embodying the martyr. She would be like, well, I have to step up because what if someone else doesn't? And I understand, like I said, there's times and places and causes in your life where you really need to do that. My oldest son is like going through it right now, which means I'm going through it right now.
Right.
He's like almost 11. I am unwell. Okay. I thought that I avoided preteen bullshit with boys. You
Oh no,
don't.
you're
Okay.
just
So
getting
I
started.
am needed right now. So like I need to be at the football practices. I need to be like hosting the play dates. I need to be more involved in this particular phase. I don't think it has to be forever. Like I have not identified myself as like the snack mom or like I will step up and volunteer for every single thing because what if someone else doesn't? There have been a lot of seasons literally in football or other sports where
Yeah,
I'm like I'm not going to really stick too close because I don't want them to know that I'm Knox's mom and I never put my name down on the
yep.
thing. Okay.
Mhm. I'm not
So
bringing
I
the
think you have to
oranges.
look at,
Not ever this season.
yes, I'm not bringing the
I don't
oranges.
have it
I
in
don't
me.
even know where my kids' water bottles are. We made it to the field without shoes one time. Like, I don't even, sometimes we just don't. And I think we have to look at how we view ourselves and is that how we actually want to be? And some people get a lot of self gratification from doing the most.
Yeah, yes.
And that's up to them. Like if that I don't think that they should make other people feel bad though.
Agree.
And resentment is a thing I think that every mom deals with. I mean, listen, and like the volunteer stuff, I just got into it in the front office of the kids' school because they're like, oh, you owe 30 family volunteer hours. And I'm like, well, what is it for a single parent home? Like I still do
Right.
30, like there's only one of me. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's probably not going to happen. Like, so where do you donate the difference? Because like I don't know what to
Right.
tell. But and don't get me wrong, like I like to be involved, but I think we
Same.
have to really look at what you said around capacity, not
Mhm.
24 hours a day every school year for every kid. If
Yeah.
you think that that's going to work for you, fine. That will never work for me.
Yeah. I think we just have to appreciate each other for where we are. Everybody's got a different reason for why they can or can't do certain things in life, and we
Yeah.
all are like at max capacity. So
Yeah.
rather than creating a deeper divide, let's just lean in and support each other where we can, because it's really hard some days to just get to the soccer field with the water bottle and the shoes. So like,
No, I know. The
let's
best thing
not
you
tear
can
each
do
other
is
down.
like, I think the best thing you can do is live really close to a couple good friends. Like,
Yeah,
my best friend and her kids live next door, and I may not be able to like do some things, but you can always dump your kids off at my house. I don't care. There's always a lot of kids here. There's a lot of animals here. It's freaking chaos. But like that's what I am available for or capable of, and she will take
yeah,
mine. I was upset the other night. She was ordering pizza for her family, so she also grabbed some for me. Like that is also stuff I think we have to remember, and this is like a world complaint I have. Not everything you do has to be on some grand scale.
right.
Like helping
Pizza,
each other,
not a big deal.
yes, in our neighborhood, in our small communities, that's actually what makes a difference. That's the village. You don't need to be donating to causes around the world. You probably need to be like talking to the other moms at pickup and being like, oh, do we live close enough to carpool?
Yeah,
Like we forget that having actual conversations in our community is what makes us feel better.
yes, yes, more of that. So I
I
thought it
don't
was
need to be
worth putting
posting.
out there.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Like
Like we don't
more
need
of
to be on
that
social
content,
media
please.
posting about every single cause we care about. Like go outside, stand outside and find another mom walking her kids and introduce yourself.
Yeah,
Like I don't know why we have lost a sense of community by creating a worldwide community. And this is not a political statement. It's just like I literally have to made it an effort to go out of my way to meet people locally, to connect with people in my small sphere because we all are feeling like this. We are all feeling stretched thin. And the only way to like give a little volume back into our lives is I think if we combine our, resources, which often is time and like our ability to help one another.
yeah, I completely agree. And I really liked that conversation that we had the other day. And I was like, I just think that this is worth putting out there to
Oh,
the
yeah.
world and to other moms.
Not coaching related.
Yes, because I just feel like we're all so in need of that village mentality again.
Yes.
Like, let's help each other where we can, because it's really hard. No matter what you're doing in your life, everybody has some level of hard that they're dealing with that you don't know about. So step in and help each other where you can. Let's stop tearing each other down.
Yes. And the
I'm off
worst
my
part
soapbox.
about it, just no, but the worst part about it is if you really think to yourself, like, why haven't you done that? I think a lot of women, myself included, would say because they feel some level of like shame or guilt
Yeah.
asking for help or
Yep.
like letting people know that they're struggling. And I said to my neighbor, I don't want to bang on your door being like, drive me to a mental institution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think it'd be easier sometimes. And she said to me, honey, just go to a hotel. It's cheaper and probably a little more relaxing. And I was like, oh, what would I do without you? But
I
like, you
love this
have to have
neighbor.
a couple people.
Yes.
She went through IGC too, actually.
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
Go figure. I literally bought the house next door to her and we're best friends. She's coming to
Like,
Mexico with me next week.
that's
So
amazing.
but I say that to say like you have to be willing to get vulnerable and you have to remember like the second I think I've been able to like really connect with women is because I'm not afraid typically to just tell them and sometimes sharing a struggle is a form of connection. It's not
Yeah.
to be complaining and it's not to be like, oh, something's always wrong with her, but it's like I feel you and I see you. I'm not better than you. I'm literally the same as you. And maybe we can like lean on each other for this instead
Yeah.
of judge each other or feel some sense of shame for not being having it all together.
Yeah. And I think that's actually the perfect segue into the next topic, which is what coaching is versus what it isn't, because that I think is a common current or theme of coaches that get into this, because they are the person that everybody feels comfortable coming to be like, I actually really am not
I
well. Like,
know. I
I really
know.
need help. I don't know what to do in this scenario. What do you think about this? Like, most coaches that get into this and are really serious about it and are really successful in coaching, it's because they've already been that person to somebody else. They've been the help that
100%.
we're all seeking.
Yep.
So, what do you think coaching is actually in order to be high level coaching?
Yeah, I think it's really identity based. I think if you're a really transformational coach, you have to, transcend just the what are you doing and here's the goals and here's the accountability. And you have to support someone in seeing themselves a different way. Like if I go back to the story of leaving public education, I only ever saw myself following this very traditional standard path that was
Yeah.
laid out for me. by my community, by my school, by my parents, and I had outgrown that identity inside, but I hadn't figured out how to bring it into the tangible world. This often feels like burnout, frustration, feeling like you don't belong,
Mhm.
zoning out in conversation situations, rooms that you used to feel like you were fit into, and like almost checking out of your current reality
Yeah.
because there's part of your identity that has perhaps left the room.
Yeah.
And I think a really great coach helps you kind of bring it all together with the action, with the accountability, with the setting goals, with being able to see yourself in a different, not a different life, but like in a different version of your life, in
Yeah.
your next level, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, this, it's done through coaching skills, through understanding archetypes, context, stories, limiting beliefs, questions that are very hard to answer sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and
And practicing that identity. Yeah.
yeah, and it sounds like you and I have experienced it personally in our own family and in our own circles. But sometimes, and we talk about this a lot in the coaching program, but sometimes when someone goes to a coach, it's the first time that they've been asked what they want or what they want to do or why they haven't
Yes.
done something. They don't
Groundbreaking.
have like the forum to be able to think like, hey, maybe I don't want what my family has wanted, or maybe I don't want this job that I thought was so perfect for me in the beginning because I'm not that person anymore that liked that job. So
I
this is their
know.
opportunity to do it. It's the first time that they're like, wait, what? I get a say in this?
Yes, it's like so cute when I think about it for myself too. Like,
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my God, that poor little girl, like, just thought she was stuck. And maybe you're
Yes.
listening to that and being like, these people may, like, I always separate myself from people and I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. They have it, like, whatever. But like, you kind of have to laugh at your inner child a little. Wayne Dyer said it best, like, pull up a chair with your fear and like have a cup of tea because it's
Yeah.
not that serious, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can truly become an entirely different person and have an entirely different reality in like 90 days.
Yes. It happened. Like
Yeah.
I truly, and I will, that was kind of my next thing too, is how does coaching differ from therapy? And I'll be open about it, but I had gone to therapy for so much of my life, really from like, I don't know, age 10 to present. And I think,
hmm
there is a time and place for therapy. It is so needed in order to get to the root cause of something or just to provide context for something. But I just never felt the level of transformation from therapy that I did when I went into coaching. There was just this level of therapy that just the rehashing and the rehashing and the rehashing kept me
Ugh.
stuck. I was like, how many times can I revisit this thing of why I was treated a certain way or why I handled something a certain way? You can only revisit that so many times before it's like, okay, but what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
So, how do you think? Because I wish I had gone to coaching earlier on in my life because the amount of transformation that happened after really committing full on to coaching was
hmm
astronomical compared to how much time I had spent stuck while I was going to
hmm
therapy. So like what do you
Yeah.
think is the foundational difference between therapy and coaching, and how would somebody know the difference of where they should be?
Sure. There are such a wide variety of types of therapies now. So like arguably some of like cognitive behavioral therapy is similar to coaching, but traditionally talk therapy, agree with you. I was having chest tightening as you were talking about that because I remember just spiraling out over the same things in
Yeah.
therapy for years. And you could argue like maybe it wasn't the right therapist, whatever. If somebody gives me the space to complain about my childhood trauma, I am going to stay there. Hello. But what good does that do, right? Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I want to complain
Stayed
about
there for
this
too
instead of
long.
actually doing anything with my life?
Yeah.
Favorite coaching question comes up here like, what do I get to avoid by talking about this thing again? Huh. Do you know how lazy we can get in our
Yeah.
complaints? And I'm not talking about severe mental illness. I have a lot of respect for mental health industry. I don't mean it like that, but when you know, you know. So, coaching and therapy, core differentiator. Therapy, I think of like archaeology. You're digging up the past to figure out why you are the way that you are. Okay. You may take some actions based on that information. You may not required with archaeology. Coaching, architecture. You have this foundation, the land might be rocky, it might be full of hills and valleys and really hard to like get you to a good place to build, but you're building regardless. You're moving away any of the obstacles so that you can build something there. That's really the key differentiator. Coaching, I may ask my clients like what has you
Right.
thinking like that, or what experience have impacted your decision making here. We are going to like pull some information from the past. We're not going to live there, and we're not going to make it mean anything about what we're capable of now.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps. Like that's kind of how I see it. Coaching is very today, and who do I need to be today? How can I practice embodying the person I'm becoming? What would she do? And I think we've talked about this
Yeah.
before. And like, I feel it's something I ask myself all the time, like, especially when I don't have what I want and I'm doing all the things and I can't figure it out. I'm like, who do I have to become? How does she act? How does she speak? How does
Yeah.
she interact? How does she react? Or hopefully it doesn't do so much of that. But we are helping our clients, like I said at the beginning, like understand that identity of who they want to become and then start taking actions based on that, not based on who they were that
Yeah.
they didn't like.
Yeah. Say it again for the people in the back, because that is kind of the same thing that I do even in the executive coaching world. Is like so many people, when they go on to get a new job or they're starting to consider a new job, their knee-jerk reaction is to put out there the cover letter of all the things that they've done. They put the resume out there of all the things they've done. And I'm like, no, 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 no. This is, what do you want to do? Because you're leaving this job for a reason. You are
Yeah.
not enjoying what you're doing anymore. So start writing cover letters about what brings you joy, what like wakes you up in the morning, what are you deeply passionate about, and what type of role do you want to be in. Start talking to and reaching out to the people who have the job that you want, and pick their brain about how they got there. Future state, like stop talking to the
Hmm.
people who, are in the exact same spot as you, or,
Yes.
past life. Like talk to
Yes.
the people where they're living the life that you want to live, and pick their brain about
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yeah, you have to often change your physical environment to get a different
Yeah,
result. And you got to know when to leave. Like, I
yeah,
think that goes anything, the job, the city, the relationship. Like you had said before the call, like something about me talking about like reinvention and maybe we're getting, but I'm like, I get this sigh of relief sometime when I remember like I am literally not stuck and most people aren't. Like a lot of
yeah,
the obstacles we create can actually be removed. They just take a lot of like time usually or
yeah.
effort or sometimes money, but it's not impossible. And you have to be around people who are showing you the things that you want are possible, or it's like we lose so much time.
Yes, it's so true. But you mentioned that reinvention is your superpower. How do you
I
know when
did.
it's time? Yes, you did. And how do you know when it's time to evolve again? Even when something's working, like how would someone know, all right, it's time to step it up, and you've outgrown this version of yourself?
Literally, whoever's listening to this, they already know. They're just
Yeah,
like hiding it, denying it, or it's too scary or uncomfortable. It takes too much work. Like you always know. There's no like magical moment where the skies open up typically. I mean, that some people may have a come to Jesus moment. I always am begging God, please teach me more lessons through joy. But I am the queen of waiting until the very last minute when shit hits the fan before I make a move. You don't have to do it that way because whenever this happens, I knew all along. I knew
yes,
all
yes.
along.
And you can physically
So
feel it in your body. There's like a
you can
chest
feel it in
tightening.
your
There's,
body.
yes,
Yes, you're going to have physical reactions to it. I don't care what when you know. And also, if you're like, but I need more proof, so do I. So running it back kind of to like deciding to leave teaching and go into coaching but I didn't know I was going into coaching. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I did this audit. Um, One of my favorite books, and now I'm going to be like my favorite book, and I can't even remember. It's called Morning Pages. And why can't I think of the author right now on the spot? But essentially, what she has you do is like write for like the first 3 minutes, free write every morning. Now, if you asked me to do this now, I would be like, there's no time. But the other option for you is to just even think of 3 things you liked about your day and 3 things you didn't like about your day and actually track it for like 14 days, a month, whatever you can do. Simple, simple, simple. But usually most people who want to change their life, it's not like their life is miserable in every single aspect. There's things
right.
they love doing, whether it's caring for their animals or being in nature or maybe you had a really great conversation with a new hire at your job and you absolutely loved supporting them. And you're like, I wish I could do more of that, not be like typing in a spreadsheet all day. Right. So, like, actually doing a mini life audit, I think can be really helpful for you to get that proof and get that clarity of like, I'm not just a miserable, you know what, sitting in here all day.
Yeah.
There are aspects of my life that I love. And maybe if I could just figure out how to do more of them, I would be more fulfilled. It's not rocket science. That's literally how it works, right? If you
Yeah.
want to feel purposeful, and like Harvard study says, the more you live in your purpose, the longer you do live. So if you like are into the longevity stuff, which I feel like people on your podcast would be,
Yeah.
it's important.
Yeah.
It's important. And the only way you know this, thinking things in your brain over and over and over again on repeat are not giving you any clarity. You have to get it out. So if you're not going to get it out with a coach, you need to get it out on paper. And then maybe once you have that clarity, you'll know, it'll give you some direction on where to go.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. And it's true. I think
Mini exercise.
you don't even realize that you're doing it, but like you get into practice where you kind of wake up and you quickly go through that audit and you're like, what do I not want to repeat from yesterday, today?
Yes. I mean, even now I'm like, oh, why do I keep putting this thing on my calendar? I don't like it and it gives me
Yeah.
anxiety every morning. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, Olivia, get over it. And then other times it's like, okay, like, do I have the capacity to move this thing off my plate and how do I make it possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's constant.
Yeah. And it's okay. I mean, we all have our things, right? So
Yeah,
no one's out here saying that this is an easy thing to do. This
I
is something that's really hard
know.
to put into practice, but it works.
Yeah,
So really
there's
go
like
for
no
it.
mountaintop. It's interesting. There's no like promised land when it comes to the
No,
human experience.
growth is a forever thing. And I think
Yeah.
rather than looking at that as something that's exhausting and something that like, God, I'll never get to the top, is like, God, how lucky am I to get the opportunity to grow somehow today? And I think that
Yeah.
too is what coaching allows somebody to do is like, all right, this isn't necessarily happening to you, which I was queen of. I was like, God, why did this happen to me
Yeah.
today? Why is this happening to me
Yeah.
again?
Mm,
But
yeah.
it could be happening for you. This blow up that you think is ruining your life. What if it's
Hmm.
happening for you and it's putting you on a better trajectory?
Ugh.
There
Yes. The
growth
most
is,
obnoxious reframe of all time. What if everything was working out? I'm like, it's not.
I know. It is
But
obnoxious.
you come around. Sometimes it is. It usually is. Like, and I wish, like I said, whether you believe in God or not, it's not the point. Like, I wish sometimes I could be like, oh, I just wanted money to fall from the sky. Like, I wish I could learn things, like, and learn more about myself the easy way, but it's just not,
No.
nor
And
that's not how it works
And to
typically.
that, I feel like God or whatever powers that be, the universe has a way of having you continue to experience the same thing in some way or another
Hmm.
until you fully address it. If you are avoiding
Yes.
getting through it, like it's going to continue to happen and happen and happen until you finally are like, all right, I'm gonna lean into it.
It always happens as you're like recalibrating to the
Yeah,
next level too.
yeah.
Like, really bad. Like when it
New
rains, it
level, new
pours. I
devil.
tried.
It's just a whole
Yes,
thing.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I see myself like this is like, poof, poof, poof,
yeah,
and like and then eventually I'm here, and then it's like
yeah,
good for a little bit, and then it's gonna happen again. So
yep. And that's okay, everyone. We're here to tell you that it happens to us all, and we're all going to survive
yeah,
this.
and we never take it as signs that we should quit. We just
Yeah,
take it as signs that we're on the right path.
yeah,
The next beat of the path.
it's growth.
Yeah.
So if anyone is feeling called to coaching for IGC, or they even just want to pick your brain about your story, where can
Yeah.
someone find information around IGC?
Great question. Well, so Instagram is the best if you want to. I have every link in my bio. If you're driving, don't try to write this down. But if you go to the Liv Chapman on Instagram, you can find everything. My favorite thing to give you when you're thinking about coaching is probably our course catalog, which you can find at innerglowcircle.com/certified coaching. I'll put the link in the
I'll put it
notes.
in as
But
well for anybody
we have
listening, so you'll
tons
have
of
it.
informational resources about the coaching industry, how to get into coaching the smart way. It's really important to us. So if you need any resources, DM me on Instagram or check out that link.
Awesome. Liv, it's
Thank
always a
you.
blast talking to you. I always learn something new. So I'm sure you're
This
going to
is
be back
fun.
again, but it's been
Oh, I
great.
love it.
So
Yes.
this is the Grit Files, and I'm your host, Laura Reynolds, signing off.